Did you know Macbeth of William Shakespeare talks about ambition, luxury of power, obsession, guilt, revenge, betrayal, and regret? This is one of his most famous works, the same as Hamlet. So they share some topics, for example, ambition, corruption, revenge, and regret. So welcome everyone, it's me Lorena in another episode of the Literary Corner. So today I'll be talking about Macbeth, as I told you, this fantastic work. And well, I titled this episode Ambition and Ruin, a Bloody Tragedy. So stay tuned. Let's get started. This tragedy takes place in the Scotland of the 11th century, where Macbeth is a brave soldier. He is a noble captain of the Scottish army and a loyal servant to King Duncan. So he is a Thane. A Thane is like a lord in England. So a Thane is a Scottish lord, a Thane of Glamis. But he has just defeated the English army with the help of his best friend Banquo. So when they were like walking in the field, they have a very, very strange appearance, and they see three old and ugly women who are witches. So those witches say like, hey, we are going to read your future. We promise Macbeth that you are going to be the Thane of Glamis, the Thane of Cotter, and you are also going to be the King of Scotland. And they say like, no, this is impossible. This is just like a product of our imagination. It's a vision. And they do not believe in that. But when King Duncan like hears the good news, he says, okay, I am going to reward, I am going to honor Macbeth for his actions. So he gives him the title of a Thane of Cotter. So this was like the first accomplishment of the first promise made by the witches. So he says, okay, this may be real. So I'm going to write to my wife. And he writes a letter to Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth is another fascinating and very important character because of her influence. She is a strong woman. She is very cruel. She is cold, and she is even more ambitious than Macbeth. So she's a very dangerous woman, and tells him, okay, if you want the throne, you have to kill the king with a dagger. So after an internal struggle, Macbeth goes and finally finishes killing the king Duncan by stabbing him. So this is a very terrible crime, which is always going to like to chase them because they are going to have be having visions about ghosts, about bloody people, about their crimes. So they are crowned as Scottish kings, and but over time they undergo into a very decadent transformation because of their ambition, and they sink into committing more and more terrible crimes. So the following acts shows Macbeth's hearts like poison by fear, betrayal, obsession, unhappiness, and most important, madness, the same as in Hamlet. So he, for example, decides and order the murder of his best friend Banquo, and also of the family, wife and children of another man, Macduff. So Macduff, when he listens to it, he goes to England to ask for the king's help. So the King Edward says like, okay, I am going to help you. Let's go and defeat this tyrant and despot Macbeth. So they fight against Macbeth. But before fighting against him, he was told by the witches that he will only be killed by a man who wasn't born of a woman, and that man is Macduff. So before going to the war or to the battle, he realizes that his wife, Lady Macbeth, has committed suicide because she was mad too. She had terrible visions too. And also, he ends up alone. Finally, he is defeated in a very tragic way by Macduff, the other soldier. So the tragic element that keeps this story or this play to be a classic is that even though Macbeth make or commit many terrible crimes, we still feel so sorry for him. It's like we are inside his feelings, inside his fears, his head, his thoughts. And also, this shows some of the dichotomy between good and evil. And finally, this shows something very interesting, which is the difficult and also the confusing nature of the man.